welcome back. My guest in this segment is Chris Naprawa. He's the president of Khiron Life Sciences Corp, trading on the TSX Venture under symbol KHRN. Chris, welcome back.
Thank you.
Chris, you put out a fantastic press release today, at least by my estimation, that you have achieved Mexican retail distribution for your Quita CBD cosmeceutical brand. And that obviously has huge implications given that Mexico has a population of 120 million. Tell me what portion of that population is going to have access to this product? What kind of sales do you anticipate?
Yeah. So we launched the Quita brand about a month ago in Colombia. We've been picked up in a couple different pharmacies. We've got good distribution online, plus our own branded online portal to purchase Quita products. And this is an example of how if you have a good base in Latin America, you can extend it to other regions within Latin America. So Farmalisto, which is one of our partners in Colombia, they can just easily pick up the SKU and start selling that in Mexico. So we're still pending some government approvals because they just put out the guidelines yesterday. But we were anticipating those. They look just like we thought they might look, and we're ready to have a product that will fit well within those guidelines.
So then it's available from anywhere in Mexico online?
Correct.
And what about physical store locations?
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Okay.
So, Quita for us right now is just 8 SKUs,
Right.
and I think as you see us develop, you will add more and more SKUs, and beyond just cosmetics, or in the general wellness category. I would include beverages in that line. I would include other things in that line. Quita, we have a fantastic marketing team with amazing leadership, and we're going to rapidly expand beyond Colombia and Mexico. You'll see another region from us shortly.
Okay. So the current 8 SKUs, what sort of is the product range within those 8 SKUs?
So we call these cosmeceuticals. The active ingredient is called CB Derm, which is our own branded ingredient, and it's a line of wellness products geared towards women. Latin American women spend an absolute fortune on cosmetics on a per capita basis. Mexico is no exception to that. So we're focused on a market where there's already high spending. They're looking for change. They're looking for alternatives, all natural with the natural attributes of that CBD brings, as far as hydration, anti-inflammatory, et cetera. So we can make product claims around that, and that's our first foray into that business, that general wellness category. But with CB Derm, we can add that into other categories and other products.
So Khiron has also sort of been at the forefront of clinical research as it pertains to medical cannabis in Colombia, I know. So what is the actual benefits of CBD as it is applied to skin? I'm really interested both from a capital markets perspective and from a personal use perspective.
I'll send you some samples so you
Okay,
can try
great.
it out.
I'm not sure they're legal here.
Well, I've got some in my car. CBD has a monograph in Colombia, which means we can make product claims associated with that. The 2 main product claims that we can make are around hydration, so it's about 3 times more hydrating than vitamin E, for instance, and it's natural anti-inflammatory attributes, and we can talk about that in the product line as well. So things where that is helpful, we can build products and formulate products around that and build that around our brand, which I think we've got a very, very solid brand strategy. We've got excellent distribution. We've got good product support. We've got a great group of vendors that are helping us put these products together and package them and get them on shelves. And we're on shelves all over the place now, and the sales are going very, very briskly.
Excellent. So, I mean, from a cosmeceutical standpoint, that's impressive. There's obviously a huge market there. I'm curious as to what is the direction of more clinically oriented research in terms of, I was just reading something yesterday about Rick Simpson, who created a CBD concentrate cream, and he applied it to some cancerous growths on his arm, and 4 days later they disappeared. And I mean, that's anecdotal, but what kind of clinical research is available to support those kind of indications?
Well, when you say the word clinical, I can't help but mention our clinic. So we made our first acquisition. It's still pending TSX approval, but we bought Islands, which is an enormous clinic in Bogota. We have over 100,000 patients. I think we have about 60 licensed physicians now on the payroll at Khiron. That gives us the ability to do clinical trials very, very quickly. We also noticed that we put out a press release about our operations in Chile, where we're partnering with Foundation Deacan. They have 17,000 patients, and we have access to all that clinical data, and we can use that back in Colombia, and plus us run our own clinical trials through that. So stay tuned on that. We'll be announcing something probably this year that we're entering clinical studies on a whole bunch of different levels. Dr. Maria Fernanda, who's in our Mexico City office, she's done a number of trials as well. Expect her to continue on with that work.
Sure, we had an interview with her here recently. It was great.
She's excellent.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're talking about beverages and other consumer packaged goods. What is the status of legalization across Latin America? I mean, is it as fractured as the states in the United States, or is it more broad-based? Obviously, Latin America does not have a federal sort of management or government, but what is the status of all of that?
Well, what I say to that, James, is that the cannabis phenomenon is now truly global. It's not a California thing or a BC thing or a Canada thing. This is a global phenomenon, and markets are regulating and deregulating at a pace that is just absolutely astounding. We have a full regulatory team on board, and for us it's very hard to keep track. Governments realize that adults want to make their own choices, medical professionals want to make their own choices, and it's not the business of the governments to be standing in the way of that. So things are happening very, very quickly. Now, within our region, Latin America, which is kind of everything from the Texas border south, every region is different. People might be surprised to know they even speak different languages in different parts of Latin America. So each region is very, very different. We're in touch with all the regulators and consult with them on a regular basis. So, just as yesterday, Mexico opens up their guidelines, we announce a product the next day. Expect that to happen in other regions. Just as soon as they open up the markets, we will be there the following day, ready to go.
Interesting. So has any of this materialized on the company's balance sheet at this point? Will it show up next quarter? Are there sales in any substantial quantity?
Yeah, so we've already announced that we're in commercial sales of our Quita product. Obviously, Islands is a commercial business, so starting this quarter, which is the calendar Q4 quarter, when we announce that, we'll have revenues associated with it, which was in a very unique category amongst our peers.
Sure.
And it's growing. We have an analyst covering the stock now, and she has some numbers associated with revenue for next year and the year after, and it's our goal to meet or beat those numbers.
Wow, fantastic. What is the outlook in terms of sales just within your Colombian market? I mean, have you issued any guidance in terms of finance?
No, we don't issue any guidance. We'll turn to the analysts to let them do that for us, and we'll put out our numbers in due course. But obviously, the market is massive. Colombia alone is 50 million people. They have an enormous spend in the billions of dollars for cosmetics. With our clinic business, we've already announced what kind of revenues are associated with that. And when we talk about those 100,000 patients, it's really, really critical for people to understand what the model is here. Those 100,000 patients are currently being treated primarily by opioids. They want an alternative to that. So if we can convert those people in whole or in part, that's where we can derive a lot of revenue. For instance, on that model, if we can take 10% of those 100,000 patients and convert them in whole or in part to some cannabis products that we're going to be selling, that's 20 million in revenue and 10 million EBITDA. If we do 30% conversion, that's 50 million in revenue and 30 million in EBITDA for next year.
Wow.
So, and that's just 2 clinics in Bogota. That model can be repeated throughout Latin America. I can walk you up to some very, very impressive numbers. So whatever lowers our costs of getting towards patients, lowers our execution risk, increases our ability to drive revenues very, very quickly, and provides leverage in the business, we're going to do it.
Okay, so the largest LPs in Canada, Canopy Growth, Aurora, Afria, they've all announced acquisitions in Colombia and footholds in the Latin American market. To what extent do you feel threatened by the existence of these much larger companies in the market that you guys are essentially first to?
Yeah, not much. I think everyone needs to be there, and like I said before, there's a global phenomenon. You cannot be in the cannabis business without being in Colombia. That is impossible. This is the best place on the planet, beyond a doubt. Not only just because of climate, but access to people, to infrastructure. This is an agricultural export country. All the regulations are set up for it, and there's a reason, like I've said before, we don't grow coffee and bananas in warehouses in Mississauga. It doesn't make any sense. This is where you need to be for that. So again, most of our competitors are focused on that low-cost export business, and we're focused on low cost as well, but primarily for high-value branded products in our own region. And it's a massive market, and there's plenty of room. And one day we may have a partner in Colombia, but for now we're doing very, very well on our own as an independent company.
All right. Well, Chris, that's fantastic. It's exciting as usual. Full disclosure, I am a shareholder of the company and plan to continue doing so. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, James.